What's up, everybody? Sorry I'm a second or two late. I do apologize for that. But once you get on, can you please let me know if you can see and hear me? That would be greatly appreciated. Got a lot of stuff to cover today, so I'm looking forward to this. Psyched, pumped. I'm other adjectives that make sense there. Looks like my connection is a lot of stuff to cover today, so looks like my connection. Sorry about that. It looks like my connection might be a little bit blurry today, but we'll do the best we can. Not really sure why, but it is what it is. Balsall Common Estate and Lettings Agent says he's excited. There's your free plug, by the way. People starting to roll in now. Let me know when you get here and say hello, say hi, say other things that mean the same thing as what I just said. We will get started at probably 5 minutes after or so because people are often late. And then, well, that's pretty much all I have to say right now. Daniel says, what's up, Chris? Not much, my friend. Good to see you. Local Web Advantage says, hey, Chris. Hey, Local Web Advantage. Lots to cover today. Excited about this. Steven says, hello, Chris. Great seeing you again. Great seeing you too. Appreciate you showing up once again. I don't have anything else to continue saying there. Alexis says, hello, Chris and Legiit Superstars. What's up, Alexis? Tried to trip me there, but you didn't get it. NC Internet Marketing says he or she is glad to be here today. Brian Ford Building Futures Marketing. I think people change their YouTube name just so they get a free plug from me. Says, hey, Chris. Triple Your Clicks says hello. Russell Freddie Edmonds, what's up, buddy? Says, hey, Chris, it's been a while. Well, I'm sure you'll meet the right person. Oh, you meant that you've been on a live stream. Hey-o. Good to see you all, as always, buddy. Good turnout so far, and, you know, SEOs are always late. So, yeah. Kathy says, hi, Chris. Hello, Kathy. How are you? We will get started in about 2 minutes. We do have a lot to cover, so, you know, we do have a lot to cover. I seem to be missing ends of sentences today, so hopefully I work that out as I present. You know, I often get people coming to me saying that they wish they could do video and they weren't introverted and afraid to be on video and nervous, and like I am. Truth is, I'm absolutely terrified every time I start one of these up, but the difference is, good Lord, I still power through it anyway. And that's kind of what separates. That's one of the keys to success in anything, in my opinion, is everybody gets afraid, but overcoming it, I think, is key. So we'll get started in about 1 more minute. Everybody looking forward to this? I know I am. Apologies that we had to postpone this from last week, but it worked out for the best, I think, because we had a nice session last week. And now we'll get into this as well. So, but it wasn't a good situation for it to do it last week. So, alrighty, I think without further ado, we are going to jump into the presentation. Let me minimize that. Share my screen. MD says, hi, Chris. Hello, MD. Share. All right, everybody should see on page SEO A to Z blueprint. Can somebody let me know just so I'm not nutso, to make sure that they can see that okay? Just say yes or hi or whatever. Just let me know if you can see that okay, and then I'll just dive right on in. Anyone? Bueller? All right. Chris Harold says perfecto. DT Views says, yep. Alexis says, looks good. I was asking about the presentation, not me. Heyo. Mike says, yes. Russell Freddie Edmonds says, we're good. Nisha says, hi, hey, Chris. All right. So let's do this, shall we? All right. Today we are going to be talking about on-page SEO. And I just reused the same thumbnail as before because I was in a hurry. But so this is something that, for whatever reason, a lot of people think they're really good at. And it's one of two things. They either think they're really good at it and they're not, or they don't care about it at all and just want to fire links at their site until it ranks. And this is basically what I have to say to them. How many links do I need to write? Get your on-page right first. I love that meme. Georgie, who works with me, hates Batman, so I use him whenever possible because I'm a bully. Just kidding. So on-site / on-page SEO is SEO that is done on the actual website. Now, that may seem like something that you didn't need to be told, but I never like to assume that. So there's two types of SEO. There's on-site / on-page, and then off-page. Off-page is mostly links, but some other things as well. And this is what we're going to be talking about today is on-page. Now, why is on-page important? Well, for one, it's the fundamental of SEO. Like everything else you do is that. If a lot of places think that that's all there is to SEO, a lot of people, whatever, but there is more to it, but it is the most important part, and it can save you a ton of time and money if you get this right. So that's kind of the point of on-page / on-site SEO, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So if you have any questions, just hold those to the end, and we'll do questions all day long if we need to. So warning, I always like to give caveats when I do these things because SEOs love to gotcha, So this is not is literally the only thing you have to do. These are just some key and important points, but it's too long to cover all of it in one particular training. So there's that. This also isn't me telling you that this will do the entire job for you. Sometimes it will, but a lot of times you're going to need links and other off-page factors to be right. Again, in tying into that, it's not the only way to succeed. So it's possible that you could do none of what we talk about today and still rank, because SEO is frustrating in that way. But these are the fundamentals, and I would recommend getting these right. It's also not a static thing. Every case is different. You have to, that's where your skill as an SEO comes in, is being able to put in the ABC and then figure out how to get the D, if that makes sense. Again, it's not a full in-depth dive into every single part of on-page SEO because there just isn't time for that sort of thing. And then I'm going to recommend some services and some freelancers. These are not the only ones that are good. They're not the only ones that you should use. These are just some that I'm familiar and experienced with. So, and this is not a stream where free pizza will be provided as usual. That was just a hook to get you in. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about on-page SEO. We're going to cover three major, factors in on-page today. We're going to talk about content optimization. We're going to talk about technical and site structure, mostly technical, and then interlinking. Those are, in my opinion, the three biggest 40,000 foot view categories, if you will. So that's what we're going to go into today. First thing we're going to do is content optimization. Now, what content optimization is simply put, it's figuring out what Google wants from your content, meaning the text on your website and the other elements on your website, so that you can help Google understand what your site and page are about, so they know what it is that you would like to rank for. That's kind of your entire job as an SEO, and this is where you can really, really help it along. So some important factors, though not all of them. A lot of people will tell you there's a couple hundred. They may be right, but for the most part, most of them aren't that important. But some that are important are the number of words on the page, the percentage of the keyword you want to rank for in the text. That's known as keyword density. So if you have 100 words and one of them is your keyword, that's what, 10% or 1%. If you have 10, it's 10%. The H1 / heading tag. This is important to have your keyword in. The meta title is what shows up in the search results, and you want to have your keyword in there. And the meta description is also what shows up in search results. If possible, the keyword in the domain is a big factor, and at least having the keyword in the URL. Those are all major ranking factors. You want to get those as accurate to what Google wants from that particular SERP as possible. So that's those are kind of the big ones. There's many others, but those are the main ones that you're not likely to have success if you don't get right. But it's like, you're probably wondering, that's great, but how do I know what to have in my H1? How much content do I need? What should my keyword density be? And it would be great if all of those things stayed static for every single site, search result, keyword, and so on. Unfortunately, SEO just isn't always like that, as much as we would like for it to be. And we need to see what the changes are from SERP to SERP, keyword to keyword, and so on. So how do we figure out how many words, what keyword density percentage, and all of that? There's a few different ways. Way number one is to just go to Google, open the first 10 or 20 results, and then record each factor for each. So basically, you open Google, you open the top. This is how I started doing it, is you open the top 10 search results, or top 20 or whatever number you're comfortable with. You take out the ones that you don't want included, and then you manually record in like a spreadsheet or a Google Doc or whatever you're comfortable with, the different factors, what their H1 is, what their keyword density is, what their word count, and so on. You record all those things, and then you try to emulate it with your site. So that's one way to do it. If you're on a budget, that's a great way to do it. That's how I used to do it. That's where a lot of us start. There's some advantages and some disadvantages to that. The obvious advantage is it's free. All you really need is a spreadsheet, which you can get through Google or through Microsoft Office or whatever it is that you use. You can choose what sites you do or do not want to include. So sometimes you don't necessarily want to include a site that's ranking just off its authority, such as like a Yelp page or an Amazon page or something like that. So you can just easily not include that in your spreadsheet. And then you have a nice spreadsheet with all the data at the end. Those are kind of the upsides of doing it manually. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. That's what I did. That's how I got used to looking for these things. You just look at the source code and do a control find for the keyword and things like that. It's really not that hard, but the disadvantage is that it's very time consuming. So as you can imagine, going through each of those factors on 20 different sites, or however many you choose to look at, can take a long time, right? Like that's a lot. There's like 10 different factors on 20 different sites for every keyword and every page. You can see how that can add up pretty quickly. The other thing is it's imperfect. Like just looking at a site doesn't necessarily give you all the information. There's stuff in the code, there's the alt text in the images and things like that. And it changes frequently, right? Like Google might shuffle the deck, then you got to go back and manually look at all 20 sites all over again. So those are kind of the downsides to doing it manually. If you're on a budget or if you just want to learn the process a little bit, I definitely recommend you start with this and then advance onto some tools. The next way to go about it, and if I go too fast, let me know. We'll circle back. But the next way to go about it is to use a tool like Audiit.io. Audiit, which full disclosure is a tool that I own. But what this does is it basically does everything I just explained for you. So I think it's going to be easier for me to give you an example of how that works. So let me stop sharing for a second, bring it up on the screen, and share again. I'm always reluctant to bring up a screen because without going off camera, because you never know what's going to come up. So this is my tool. And by the way, we literally just a couple of hours ago launched an entire redesign of the homepage and the dashboard and added some new features. So if you're coming here from the Audiit list, or if you're just using Audiit and you haven't looked at it yet today, you'll notice that we have almost finished doing it. We actually haven't even updated all the testimonials yet, but you can see that it's much sexier than it was 24 hours ago. Thank you to the head of the table for that. So, and now what you're going to do is sign in, which I already am, and you're going to come up to your dashboard. And you can see you got a lot of options in here, but the main thing we're going to look at today is you're going to select the right country. Mine defaults to US. We've set that up to where you can default it to whatever country you most commonly use. But what we're going to do today is Myrtle Beach painting. And we're going to do the site And this is kind of the one I've been demoing for this. So Lord knows what I did last time. Let's see. Myrtle Beach Painting. Excuse me, Myrtle Beach Painters. This is kind of like a test site of mine. So you put in a keyword and you put in a URL, and you don't actually even have to put in a URL if you just want to get the data for it. And then you click search. I'm gonna grab some water while it does that. Russell Freddie Edmonds says the audit dashboard is looking more sexier, just like me. He may not have said just like me, but I wanted to do a little improv there because I love the dad jokes. And it takes 2 or 3 minutes sometimes. Sometimes it takes 1 minute. It just depends on how much data it has to scrape. Scrape's probably not the right word, but how much data it has to get. So I'm just going to keep ramp. So maybe he did say just like you. All right. So now you can see it has pulled in. We got to, looks like we got a little bit of formatting we got to do there. Maybe if I zoom out. Yeah. So we're going to have to work on the formatting of it. Like I said, it literally just went live a few hours ago. But what it's done is it's pulled in the top 20 search results, without yours included, by the way, of the sites ranking for that term. And it gives you the different percentages and different variables for it. Now, what you want to do here is go through and remove ones that are ranking just based on their domain authority. Remember how I said you could just not list the ones that you don't want? So here, what we can let you do is remove that one. This is a Yelp that's ranking just because it's Yelp, not because it's well optimized. BBB, because they're the devil. Thumbtack, we want to get rid of. Let's see, Premiere. That one might apply. Porch. The reason I'm getting rid of these is because they're ranking just based on the domain authority and not because they're particularly well optimized. So to include them in our data would not be great, would not give us accurate, let's say build zoom, not give us accurate data. So indeed. Okay, so now we have results. You see we're scoring, and this is new, by the way. If you're familiar with Audiit, you'll know that this is a new thing that I'm going to cover here briefly in a moment. But right now we have an F, which is not good, right? That means fail. So that means we have some work to do. So what we do is we come over and look at our URL, and you can see where we're missing. So there are some things we need to clean up. You can see the averages, and then we can see some recommendations. And you can also get to that by clicking on the audit score. So total word count, it looks like we need to add up to 907 words. On page, keyword on the page, we've got that right. It contains the keyword the same amount of times. Keyword density, ours is a bit high. Interesting. Keyword in the URL, we don't need to change. That looks like it needs to be adjusted. Keyword in the meta title, that needs to be adjusted as well. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I changed that. Like I said, I've been using this to demo, so I forget what I've put in place. But okay. So yeah, these are right as well. So we're going to have to look into that. I have it in 2 H1s, so I need to reduce it down to 1. In theory, I would need to add 46 more images. That may not always be possible, but that's, you want to get as close to that as you can without ruining your aesthetic. And it looks like we got the alt tags and the image with the keyword and the file name right. So we're doing well. We're doing well. We need to work on the blue and the red areas, and we'll be good to go. So basically, and then you can export this as a report as well. So basically that's just what we showed in a nice little report that you can use to like get clients or just to move around or whatever, but yeah, so that's that. This is what I use. This, like I said, this is my tool. It's we're really happy with the progress we're making on it. It still has a couple of, like I said, we have blank. It's been around for about 2 years. We have blank reviews on the homepage, but We just pushed the new design live today. The audit score was live today, and a few other features like account setting. You can set your default country, so to whatever you want it to be. That's something a lot of folks asked for. The audit score and a few other things. So to me, this makes it a lot easier, but let's jump back over to the presentation. Now, why does it do that? All right, interesting. I think that makes it a lot easier. Like anything, there's advantages and disadvantages. It'll save you a ton of hours by doing exactly what we just talked about in the manual section. The advantage are you save time, you get up to the moment accurate results of what's winning and what's not. It easily removes results you don't want to be a factor, so you don't have to like manually look through it. You just click the X and it goes away. You get a grade of 0 to 100/A to F on how well you're doing. And you obviously want to get that as close to A and 100 as possible, but you get it close, you get a good result. You can export the report with results, information, and suggestions, and you can easily check how your site stacks up to other sites that are winning for those terms. So disadvantages, for more than 6, you can get 6 searches a month for free, but beyond that, it can cost up to $47 one time on AppSumo for a limited time. So if you want to check that out, you can check it out on AppSumo, or you can check it out for free at Audiit.io, or if you want to just check out the AppSumo deal, it's dropping that in the comments, the chat, depending on where you're watching. So hope you enjoy that. So that brings us to our second warning. Using Audiit for your on-page can lead to getting the on-page information you need in order to rank really fast instead of spending hours manually copying it all. It can lead to beating your competition quickly and leaving you with nothing to do. And it can give you a feeling of unease that it shouldn't be this simple. A lot of people really want to complicate on-page SEO and things like that. And it doesn't have to be that hard. In general, that's a problem in SEO, I find, is that people want to make things more complicated than it actually is. So one thing I am going to caution you on is that some of the results you get from it may make you uncomfortable. And what I mean by that is there's things that are conventional wisdom and accepted sacred cows in SEO that you should do every time. And sometimes the data is not going to bear that out on every SERP. What Audiit does is it doesn't give you its opinion. What it does is it pulls in the raw data and tells you what's winning and tells you how you can emulate what's winning. Then you can decide for yourself if you want to try to improve upon that, or if you just want to do what the data tells you. But what it doesn't do is say, nobody has an H1 with the keyword in this particular SERP, but you should add one because that's what SEO training tells you to do. It's going to tell you exactly what's there. And if that's not what you want to do, that's up to you, but it's not going to taint the data. It's going to give you pure data. So, and it's going to do it quickly. So those are kind of what separate, somebody's going to ask later, those are kind of some of the things that separate this from other tools that do what it does. And it can also lead to free pizza. Of course, that's not true. That's just my running gag that I try to work in at least a few times. So that is the first part of on-page SEO, the content optimization piece. It's probably the piece that most people think of. And before we continue on, so my site currently has an F rating. Yeah, it's just a demo site that I've been using to show Audiit off. So it gets changed around a lot. So yes, it does currently have an F rating, and that's why I said it needs some work. It's just a dummy site though. It doesn't, it's not monetized or anything like that. I can't show a site that I care about publicly because it's going to get hacked. It's going to get spammed. It's going to get negative SEO'd, and it's just not worth the hassle, you know? Literally 100% of sites I've ever shown publicly have had something like that happen to them. So blame crappy people for me not using better demos. Anyhow, that was the content optimization setting or portion. Now we're going to get into technical. I'm going to give you a checklist that I'm going to open in a moment that in the past has only been available to people in Superstar SEO Academy, but I want to give it out to you guys as well because there's a lot here and I just don't have the time to cover all of it. But let's keep it going. Russell Freddie Edmond says, do you ever remove EMD from the list as well? No. You can, of course, if you want, but I do not. Let's see. So this can get, like I said, this can get pretty involved and time consuming, and it's easy to get wrong or at least overlook things because there's just so many different pieces. But I'm going to cover some of the main points, and then I'm going to give you a checklist that has previously, like I said, only been available in Superstar SEO Academy. And I'm going to show you a tool I like to use and recommend someone to handle it for you as well. So if that's cool with everybody, we will keep it going. You can get the checklist at, and it's linked wherever you're watching this, it's linked, but you can check it out at superstarseo.com/checklist. Let me drop that in there as well. People love checklists. That goes through. So there's a couple of tools you can use. I don't ever try to do this manually, but we'll take a look at the checklist here in a second and see some of the factors. I like to use Sitebulb and I like to use a Screaming Frog. But before we get too far down the rabbit hole there, let's take a look at the checklist. So everybody see that okay? And you can see the site that I've been using for a demo does not do a lot of these. So some basics. Site shows when you search for company name, meaning is it showing up for branded? Is it linked to an outbound authority site like not really Wikipedia, but something like that? Link from the body copy. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but these are some of the major ones. You know, these all relate to things on the page. It should not have flash or auto playing videos. Visible USB. You can see why I don't want to cover this whole thing. You need certain pages. So fact, terms and condition, privacy policy, sitemap. It's important to get all of those right. Keyword density. I'm probably going to give this out. Like I'm probably going to run ads to this and get like to collect emails, but you guys get it for free. You want to make sure you have original content that's relevant, engaging, and crawlable, that it's formatted properly, reduce pagination, spammy content, cloaking. You can see there are just a ton of things to go through for technical. No missing title tags, duplicate title tags. These may all seem like minutia, and some of them are. This is what separates number 1 from number 2 and so on. Meta tags, lots of variables for the header tag, structured data / schema. If you want to know more about schema, check out the live stream I did a few weeks ago. I guess it's been about a month with Rob Beal. Went into a lot of that. Technical basics, mirror sites, duplicate pages, custom 404 page, server uptime. So you guys interested in this? You want to grab that? I think it'd probably be easier to just go through it. We're going to go through a tool here in a moment as well. But as you can see, there's just a lot that you want to get right here. And I hope that this will allow you to go look at some of your own sites and maybe see some things that you've missed and some things that that will help. So yeah, check that out. It's superstarseo.com/checklist. This is your on page. So is there an allowable percentage of plagiarism involved? I have the site that has very detailed technical information. I need the same info in another site for the same client. Should I JPEG it? If it's just stating facts, and this is just my opinion, is it just stating facts? Then you're probably fine. But ultimately, the less you can copy somebody else, the better, you know. I remember in college, I have a degree in information technology, and I remember I put in a paper something like there's 1,024 bits in a byte, and the dumbass teacher was using some sort of plagiarism software, and that flagged it as plagiarism. So I don't have a good answer for you on that. You're probably okay though. Steven, it's on my site or on my YouTube channel. So superstarseo.com/blog or on YouTube, chrismwalker.tv. So anyhow, I dropped that in the chat. you can, I think that you'll benefit from that. So just download that and kind of go through each thing. It's way too much to go through on one stream, of course. So next up, we're going to go into Sitebulb. Sitebulb is probably the most underrated SEO tool in the world, in my opinion. And as I helpfully left a note for myself, let's do a demo of Sitebulb. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second and bring that up. Now, one of the downsides to Sitebulb is that it's a desktop app and not browser based, but the information it gets you is just unmatched, in my opinion. So I'm going to start a new project. So this is it. And we'll call it Myrtle Beach Painters. And all the problems I have in this one as well. Oh, you're not seeing that, are you? All right. So now we're going to save and continue. Hopefully this won't be too long of one. Sometimes these can take a long time, but this is a pretty small, pretty useless, to be honest, other than demoing like this site. But it's going to go through and it's going to look through all sorts of things and give you a really in-depth report, but also pretty reports that you can give to clients. Steven says, do you use the free version or the pro version? I don't know if it's the pro version. I definitely have paid version. Local Web Advantage says definitely want checklist. All right. You can get that at, seems like there might be a lag today because people are asking questions about things that were a few minutes ago. I like to check as many of these as I can. Structured data, content. Now leave that one blank. Content search, leave that one blank. Site maps. URL list is if you only want it to crawl certain lists, and I don't want to schedule it. So start now, and there's other settings you can do, but this is good for our purposes. So I really, really like this tool. I don't know why it's not more widely recognized. Once it gets started, we will, there we go. So we'll give this a minute or two to see if it finishes. Hopefully it'll go pretty quickly. I had one time that I did an e-commerce site for a customer, and it took like 4 days. So it's hit and miss, but usually if it's a smaller site, it's not that bad. But this is going to give you all sorts of technical information. It's really it's an automated version of the checklist I guess gave you, in my opinion. I don't have an affiliate link or anything for this, so that's you know, there's no ulterior motive. It's just a tool that I use and that I like. So let me see if there's anybody while that runs. Does anybody have any questions I can answer for them, or anything that you're not sure of? Am I going too fast? Anything like that? If not, we will just wait another minute or two, and then we'll soldier on, and then kind of come back to that because it could take a while. Yeah, it looks like it might take a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and go on with the presentation. Then we'll circle back to this when it gets done, if it gets done in time, and see. I probably should have just prepared this ahead of time, but I have certain strengths. Preparing ahead of time is not one of them. So we'll come back to that in a minute. But basically, it's going to give you a ton of data to look at. So, and there are, if you want to get some of this done, do you connect Search Console and Google Analytics? Yeah, if I have access to them. Balsell, a common estate and lettings agent, says this is great. What things do you cover in your paid course? We're going to get to that in just a second, actually. So stick around, and I might have a chance for you to get into it for free for a little bit. But anyway, these are some services I recommend. This one is a site bulb audit. So there's that. This one is an audit, for lack of a better term. Like that double I thing. I have a brand. This one is really, really in depth. This is from Scott Allen, who is one of the coaches in Superstar SEO Academy. It's not cheap, but you'll get the most thorough on-site thing that you'll do. And I've seen amazing results from when he and I work on projects together from what he does, what he offers as a service here. This one is for local sites. So that's a good service to use. That's Search Combat. And then this one is for content optimization using a different tool than Audiit called Surfer SEO, which I've talked about in the past as well. So these are some services you can check out. These are on, let me bring up, if you're watching on Facebook, I'll drop a link where you can get these. If you're watching on YouTube or on my website, you already have a link to them. So Facebook doesn't make linking quite as easy as others. One momento. Anybody else hungry? Just me? Yeah, if you're watching on Facebook or anywhere else, or if you're watching on Facebook, you can visit that URL that is dropped in the comments and get a full list of how to link to all of these. So Purple Heart from, DVA_mechanics on Twitch says Purple Heart. All right. Well, at least I have somebody on Twitch. Steven says, I just finished lunch. Way to rub it in. Jim says he's craving pizza. Not sure why. Yeah, me neither. Let's see. Has Sitebulb made any progress? Yeah, we're getting there. We're about halfway to go. While you were watching me, multitasking. All right, let's continue on with the presentation, and we'll circle back to Sitebulb again in a minute or two. Where is it? There we go. So, interlinking. There are the process of, when I say interlinking, I mean the process of linking one page on your website to another page on your website in a way that's relevant and makes it easy for Google to understand and crawl your site. Because again, that's ultimately your goal as an SEO, is to make it so Google can understand your website and what you would like to rank for. So that's what we want to do here. And there's a few different ways you can do this. I'm going to cover 3 of the 4 in depth, and then we'll talk about silos a little bit as well. Contextually, if you want to see a good example of a contextual one, we will go to Wikipedia, but contextually means within the text. So in a way that makes sense to link to another page. So let me stop sharing for a second and bring up, I was actually prepared for this too. So hopefully you can't hear my noisy neighbor. Alrighty, so this is the Wikipedia entry for baseball. Now you can see it tells you everything you ever needed to know, well, at least I assume, about baseball, my favorite team sport, by the way. But what it does is, so let me zoom in some for you. Baseball is a bat and ball game. See how it links over to the bat and ball game page. Played between 2 opposing teams who take turns batting. And it links over to batting. The game proceeds when a player on the fielding team. So you see how they interlink to all these other pages on their site. So they do that contextually. And what that means is a place within the text that it makes sense to link over to another page. And what that does is Google will hit this site and it's going to crawl all the links on this page to where they go to. It's going to build it up thematically and make Google understand. Google's a computer, so you need to help it as much as you can. But you're making it understand what's it about, what's the site's about, and theming it. Wikipedia is just a great example of this. They're also a great example of having interlinks as a menu. So you see how over here They have like characteristics, and contact is limited. It's funny that it showed a rugby there. Type baseball, baseball bat. You can see how it has kind of a menu of related links. That's another route you can go. You might see that on blogs a lot, where it's like you might also enjoy kind of thing. That's where you can have like a menu of interlinks. And this is a great example of contextual interlinking. Somebody may ask something like, how many of these should I do? The more the better, but don't do it just for the sake of doing it. Do it when you have, so for example, if you didn't have a page about bases, or you had a page about bases, but you didn't have anything about bases in the content, you wouldn't want to force bases in there just to get a link over to it. But if you do have a page about bases, then you link over to it. So just do it where it makes sense. That's always my rule of thumb on that. Do what you would do if you weren't doing SEO. And then a menu on a page like Wikipedia, it can be like this. And I'll show you another example here in a moment. So that's contextual interlinking, as well as, hey, the audit finished. That's new. As well as menu interlinking. So let's jump back over to my presentation. Resume slideshow. Now we're going to talk about the next one. Is something I've been doing a lot more lately, and it's been working pretty good so far, and that's topic clustering. So what topic clustering means is that you create one giant article on a topic, and then you make related topics and they all interlink together to increase the topical relevance of that. So we're going to go over and look at my site, superstarseo.com, and the topic cluster I've built around affiliate marketing. So give me one sec here. By the way, if you aren't checking out my blog, I have been posting a lot there lately. So I don't really advertise it that much, but one more minute. And then once we're done with this topic, we'll circle back to the the site bulb audit. All right. Guys, see that okay? All right. So what we did was we created one giant article about affiliate marketing. Which is this one, I believe, Affiliate Marketing Explained. And that's kind of just a huge article that covers a lot about affiliate marketing. And by the way, this is kind of what I was talking about before, other things that you might like. But you can see this is just a super in-depth article. And it links to other parts of the content cluster. So best affiliate marketing niches in 2021. Links over to how to increase affiliate sales in 2021. Links over to the best affiliate programs for beginners in 2021. And so on. And you can see here's another example of interlinking via a menu. So this is, you might also like this, this, and this. And then there's more articles on affiliate marketing. So that's a topic cluster. You create one giant article and then have related ones that interlink with all of it. So it's like a big one in the center and then those kind of like hanging off of it. For those of you that are old enough, you can think of it as like a charm bracelet where you have the bracelet and then the charms hanging off it. The big one is the big article is the bracelet, and the other articles are the charms hanging off of it. So hopefully that makes sense. Sometimes my analogies hit, sometimes they don't. So that's topic clustering. That's my current favorite way, especially for blog type sites, to do on page. So and interlinking. So that's that. This is a service that I use, and this is, I think I forgot to put this link, but I'll put this link in there as well. He just does an amazing job. He writes the content, interlinks it, comes up with the keywords, everything. So that'll be linked wherever you are, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, whether it's my website. So that's topic clustering. Let's jump back a few steps and look at the sitemap audit because it said it was done. And you can see this just gives you a ton of information. This website has some SSL issues that need attention. That makes sense because it doesn't have SSL installed. And what I really like, and you can go over and do each one individually. You can see it's just such a great tool. And it's freezing on me because of course it would. And then you can come up to PDF. Why is it being difficult? All right, I might have too much going on. Oh. Yeah, oh, okay. It's because I updated it and it's trying to give me a stupid. Okay, so let's print PDF. So we'll wait while it does that. And does anybody have any questions I can cover while that's thinking? If not, we'll wait for that and then we'll look at the report. And then you get a bunch of exports of spreadsheets as well. But this isn't one of those like WooRank type reports. This is actual valuable information that this is going to export when it's done in about 60 seconds. And then we got one more thing to cover after this, and then we'll take some questions because this is already running kind of long. So how's everybody doing? Still with me? How does this compare to SEMrush? I'm not a big fan of SEMrush. I don't know what their on-page audit does. I don't know. I can't really answer that for you. All right, save a report. There we go. So you can see you can, oh, leave me alone. God, I hate prompts. You see, this is 80 pages long, so there's a lot of information here, but let me zoom in some. It gives you, show you the bad URLs, status codes. This is more of like an overview report, and then we'll do the exports. And I'm not trying to sell you on this. Again, I don't have any interest, but it'll give you specific things you can do. When I say any interest, I mean that I'm not an affiliate or anything like that. Lots and lots of data here, right? So I'll make this report available to you. And then one other thing it can do is bulk exports. You see, you can export all kinds of information. So let's export all on that. This is really, really helpful, and not enough SEOs are using this. So, all right, save and open. So you can see it. Let me do this. AMP pages, cookies, duplicate content, external indexability, redirect chains, page speed, on page, net summary, just tons and tons of information that this gives you. So, some of this not as important as others, but this is really going to give you everything you need for technical. So I recommend you use either this or Screaming Frog to do your technical. I'm not a big fan of Screaming Frog. I shouldn't say I'm not a big fan. I'm more comfortable with this because I think it has a better interface. So that's that. Let's jump back into the presentation one more time. And we'll talk about one more thing, and that's siloing. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm not as good at this as I should be. Scott and Jeff, the other coaches in Superstar SEO Academy, they teach this, they implement it, and I'm going to be using a site as an example that's one of Scott's. So, oops, we'll come back to that. So let's drop off screen one more time, and I'm going to show you an example. And then, like I said, it's not my strength, so I do apologize for that, but I'm not going to lie to you and say, something, pretend to be something I'm not. So this site is a good example of one of the many different types of silos. Basically, though, a silo is where there is an area of a site that contains a main page about the topic and then subpages about the topic. that's not accessible to any other silos. So on this page, we have detailing services silo, paint services silo, and the customization silo. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. So the detailing services, this is the main page, and then it silos to these other detailing pages: Mustang, Subaru, Corvette. I don't like cars. I mean, I shouldn't say I don't like cars. I'm not into cars, so whatever. But there's one, and then you can go to any of the individual pages, and you see how it doesn't link over to the paint services silo at all. And it kind of just keeps you in it. So this is just a great example of it. And then more detailing, and then we can jump over to the paint services silo. Hopefully you get the concept here. That's what's really important, is that you have pages that link to child pages, for lack of a better term, and don't link over to the other parts of, or to the other silos. So this is a really slick looking site, by the way. Same with this one. The customization can lead over to custom wheels and so on. So that's the kind of the concept, right? And it doesn't even necessarily have to be laid out in the menu, but I think this makes it easy to follow. Is one big page that links down. It's very similar to topic clustering, but links down to other pages related to it, but not over to the other silos. So each silo is insulated from each other to help Google understand better what the site is about and what parts of the site are about what things. So again, your entire goal as an SEO is to help Google understand your site. And this is another way to do it. So I know that's not much of an explanation, but again, it's not my greatest strength. I usually get people to help me with that. So let's jump back into the presentation one more time. That's kind of silos. And I think we only have a shameless plug left. If you would like the training you got today and you want to get more in depth and on pretty much every part of SEO, including getting clients, affiliate, local, e-commerce, whatever you need to know from SEO and some other online business things, we have like a whole Shopify live build and everything in there. And you want to try it out for 7 days, totally free. You can go to superstarseo.expert. I think you have to have the www in there. So I'm going to drop that in the chat. So no pressure, but it's free for 7 days. If you like it, it's $67 a month after that. If not, you just cancel, and no harm, no foul, right? It's the first time I'm revealing this link, so thanks for showing up, I guess. superstarseo.expert. So if you want to try Superstar SEO Academy out for 7 days, go right ahead. We'd love to have you, and you have nothing to lose, right? So check it out. Steven says, I've never been able to figure out Screaming Frog the full extent. Do you have any training on it, or do you have someone who teaches it who would recommend? I think Rohan did a video that used it before. If not, I'll see if I can get him to do one. Because I'm with you, I don't find it very user-friendly, and I'm too impatient to learn in-depth tools, as bad as that makes me sound. But yeah, I'll see what I can do for you, buddy. Russell Freddie Edmonds says, nice presentation, man, to brush up on. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And that is pretty much the end. So let me know if you enjoyed that. It took almost a full hour. And if you have any more questions or want me to cover again anything, let me know that too. I'm going to grab some water. Go ahead and throw your questions in the comments in the chat, and we will bang them out. Also, let me know if you enjoyed that, or if there's something you think I should have done differently or anything like that as well. I really put a lot of time in setting these up, so I want to make sure that it's helping you, Thanks, Chris. Loving these videos. This is from Balsall Common Estate and Letting Agents. There's your free plug. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you coming. Steven says, I'm with you, Chris. Impatient when it comes to complex apps. Yeah, it's just, I shouldn't be. I know that's not great, but I wasn't always like that, but I can't do it anymore. Steven says, yes, glad you enjoyed it, my friend. We'll be back next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. I haven't decided on a topic yet, so certainly open to suggestions on that. We've done organic SEO. We've done Google Maps SEO. We did a Q&A last week. And then this week we did on page. So let me know what you want to talk about next, and I will be open to suggestions. Alan Tebby says, thank you, Chris. Great information and review. Thank you, my friend. Always a pleasure. Steven says, I will check out Sitebulb. I'm loving this training. Great. It's, I don't feel like I've been giving back enough to the various communities. So I wanted to do this. And if I'm being perfectly blunt, it does help with business. But, there's really no hard pitch or anything here. Just trying to give some, as much as I hate this expression, give some value back. Let me jump back on camera. Give back some value. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. Sayun, who does not take losses, says, great session. Enjoyed it all the way. Thank you, my friend. Always a pleasure to have you on board here. You the man. Chris Chapman says, what can I do if someone won't allow me access to their website? It's a step-by-step kind of guide so they can do it, but it's not like me doing it. You have two options. You can just tell them that that's going to limit the amount of success you can have. And if they're okay with that, that's fine. But if you get stalled out, you point it back to them where they said it was okay, or you can just not do the contract. So those are kind of the two options. What I recommend, though, is saying, okay, that's certainly your prerogative, Bill, but I want to let you know before we go any further that I may not be able to get you the kind of results that I think you deserve and that I really want to get for you. So if you want to leave the on-page implementation for yourself, that's okay. I do understand where you're coming from. It's hard to trust people, but I want to let you know that I want to do my best possible for you, Bill, because that's what you deserve. That's what your business deserves. And I can't do that unless I have access. So it's up to you, but I just want you to know before we go in that this may limit the possibilities in the future. So sound good, Bill? Something like that. Russell Freddie Edmonds says, I'm back in the UK now for a couple of months, so I'll be on more to annoy you. Oh, good. Yay. Maybe next week you should talk about incoming links and how to find them using Ahrefs or Majestic or however your team goes about finding competitor backlinks, and then more better links to outrank them. Just a thought. Yeah, that's a good idea. Something around backlinks probably is like the next natural progression, So we'll see what we can do. Chris says, that's awesome. Cool. I appreciate that. Obviously you have to read the individual, in the situation, but something like that should probably work. That way you're reaffirming to them how important it is to you that you do a good job for them. You're kissing their ass a little bit to show them how good their business is and things like that. And then, you're giving a reference point for when down the road they aren't getting the results they want. You can be like, remember, Bill, we talked about this, So hope that helps. Jason says, what's up, Superstar SEO? You're the man. Well, thank you, Jason. I kind of heard that you were the man. So I'm glad that we're the men. Collectively. All right, we've been here for 58 minutes. I was a minute late getting started, so we'll go another minute or two, and then I'm going to go into my Edward R. Murrow routine, and then we're going to call it a day. I hope you enjoyed this. I know I certainly did. I think it was a great presentation. I'm not going to lie. I think it was a lot of valuable information. But, if I'm wrong, let me know that too. Jose says, I'm following your Superstar SEO Academy course, which is great, by the way. But I don't know if I messed up a site. Homepage is targeting a certain keyword and not branded. The keyword is not in the domain. I wouldn't say you messed it up. That's not optimal, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. I have sites that want the keyword on the homepage as well. It just depends on the situation. Ideally you want it on an inner page because not only does it make sense that way, but you also get some ranking advantage to having the keyword in the URL, but it's not the end of the world. Will it be harder for me to rank the specific keyword for the homepage? It could be, because you're not going to get the advantage of site.com/keyword, but it doesn't mean it can't be done or that you've messed it up or anything like that. It just depends on how deep you are into it. If you want to create a new page or if you want to just try to continue on with the homepage. So if you want, you can ask that in Academy, and we'll go over that a little bit more. So, but it's not the end of the world if that's what you're worried about. It's a law firm, and it's a super broad term, so I aimed it to the homepage. Thank you for the answer. Got it. Yeah, I mean, if the broad term is like, suppose they're a personal injury lawyer, and the homepage term is like personal injury lawyer, then that's probably going to be okay. So it's not the greatest example, but I think you get what I'm saying. All right, we got about 1 minute left. Any last minute questions? I don't like to leave anything unanswered because I'm here for you. But if the questions are dying down, and it looks like they are, and some people are starting to drop off, we can wrap it up as well. So this is your chance. Grab one more sip of water, see if there's any more questions, and then we're going to call it a day. Building silos. You always have a folder between the domain. Fodler. I assume that means folder. If that's an acronym, I just don't get acronyms. I apologize. Between the domain and the page URL, or like I see what you're saying, a folder like another page. Or is it better to have pages at the root of the site? I prefer to do them like, let's see if that site does that. You see how this one, I don't know how well you can see that, but it's project/custom wheels. Go over to detailing services. It's detailing services. And then if you dig into one of the deeper ones, it's detailing services/BMW detailing. That's how I like to go about it. It looks like that's what Scott did as well. So it's a really slick looking site. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. Great turnout. Still a great amount of people on, actually. But we've been here for an hour now, and it seems like the questions are dying down a little bit. We will do this again next week. Topic still to be determined, but just go ahead and if you're on YouTube, just click subscribe and the notification bell. That way you'll find out whenever it is, whatever the topic ends up being. Or you can just follow me on Facebook at chrisandwalker.social, and you'll get notified that way. It's also in the Superstar SEO Facebook group. So I don't know. These are fun. I think they're valuable. Wherever you're watching this, everything I talked about today is linked below. And if you're on Facebook, you can just get it from my website, rseo.com/ that's too much to read out. So I'll drop that in the chat one more time. And if you want to check out Superstar SEO Academy for free for 7 days, go over to superstarseo.com. How about you rank a website first page of Google? Not sure what you mean about that. And that's where you can grab that. So, all right, guys, thanks a lot. We'll do it again next week. I'll see you then. Have a great one. And most importantly, figure out what you want out of life and go out and get it, because you owe it to yourself and you owe it to the world. I'm Chris. I'll see you again soon. Peace.